Children, good afternoon. Hope you can hear me. Hope you can hear me. Can you hear me? Hello? Hope you can hear me.
Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just to confirm. Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear, children?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Hello? Oh, sorry. Wait. Can you hear me? Yeah, children, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yeah. Actually, now only I can hear you all. Yeah, it's some issue from my side. Now should be all right. Yeah. So today going to be a very important session. So before we start to prepare the background, have you heard of control? Yes. Systems. Okay, control systems. Control systems. Yeah. There can be control systems in manufacturing related. There can be control systems related to food. And also there can be control systems related to management. Okay. So some systems can be tangible control systems. Example, thermostat. Yeah, let's say simple way. Temperature control of what? Yeah, let's say oven, of an oven. This is for food. Temperature control of an oven. Okay. And let's say coldness control of a refrigerator. Okay. Coldness control of a refrigerator. Oh, let's say speed control of a vehicle. We are really dealing with lot of controls. Yeah. Also, let's see, quality control. So many control aspects are there. So quality control. Also, let's see, document control. The systems, in the offices, the procedures, even the document control are there. Process control. Okay. Yeah. So no matter tangible or can be intangible. Okay. Process control. And there can be many, many, whether it's management, food process, yeah. Speed control, not to say vehicle, it can be of any machine or whatever. Okay. Food process or manufacturing, yeah. Control is something you have to have a sense of technicalities or the mechanisms. Okay. So let me create a new slide, of course. Before new slide, there is in the first slide, you know this picture. This is we call His Holiness Dalai Lama. Let's see what's the relevance of the Dalai Lama, His Holiness, to the environmental management and clean production. But before that, now I'm going to do a little schematic. So, okay. So these are the control systems related to any, yeah, even in the automations, in robotics, yeah, you can see a lot of controls, even power controls, yeah, a lot of things. So let me draw a little schematic. Okay, let me draw a little schematic of control system. This knowledge is important. Huh? Schematic means just something like a sketch for you to understand. Okay. Now I'm going to draw a control system schematic. So let's say this is something like this can be a process, or even this can be an oven, or this can be a refrigerator. Okay, this can be a vehicle or a machine with the speed. This can be something like a process. We need to look for the process quality. Or even this can be some office, some system documentation, or even in the process flows, manufacturing, we have document controls. Whatever. So this one, let's say this is something of our interest. So this is, let me put this as an industry. As an industry. As an industry. So your interest of this industry is maybe to control the emissions, to control the pollutions. Okay, so environmental control is your interest. That is what we call environmental control, emission control, pollution control. We call it what? Is clean production, and we are managing the environmental. So environmental management and clean production. So your concern is the protection of environment. Okay, so the pollution prevention or waste minimization. So everything. So let's say all we call the environmental control. Control. So we have to assure this industry fulfills environmental control. Yeah. So this is our concern of the output. This is our concern of output. The environmental control. So will this naturally happen? Yeah. So in a way, there are responsible regulatory bodies. They are responsible getting the assurance from each and every industries to comply environmental, sometimes the regulations, sometimes the guidelines, and there can be many such. Okay, so there can be a regulatory bodies. Okay, and somehow there should be some regulations. Okay, environmental regulator is here. You know, even in technology, the regulators are there. Regulators, power regulators, the voltage regulators, you can see. So the regulation, so the regulator, environmental regulator is there, influencing the industry. So okay, regulator or some control over the industry, regulator or control over the industry. So there should be, even this can be within industry, or this can be external, or even internal, or even can be both. Okay, even can be both. The regulator. So what's happening here is for regulation, how to assure the regulation, you have to gather the information. Information gathering. But this environmental control, there should be some information gathering there. You gather the information and you have to compare this information with the available environmental management knowledge. Okay, environmental management knowledge. That is very important. Yeah. Yeah, you have to compare with the environmental management knowledge. That is very important. So you have the environmental management knowledge. So let's say the environment management knowledge. Those knowledge can be in data form, can be in information form, can be in experimental form. Yeah, any way there should be knowledge. Knowledge is very important. And with this environmental management knowledge, this will be compared. This will be compared. Let's see. Try to be patient a little bit. This will be compared. So you will be comparing this information gathered from the industry with the existing knowledge you are comparing here. Okay, comparing means something like plus minus. We call it the comparison, plus and minus. So you are comparing. That's how you compare. So here the comparison is taken place. The comparison. Very interesting. Very interesting. So after the comparison, yeah, you can, this model is very important, and this knowledge will be very useful for you. Okay, it's very useful for you, the basic knowledge about the control systems. Yeah. So plus and minus. plus and minus. Plus minus. Minus and plus here. So you compare this. After the comparison, the time will come to make decisions how the control should be act. And based on this decisions and actions, there should be influence on the industry. Okay, there should be influence on the industry, and industry will act accordingly, and it will ensure the environmental control, the proper environmental control, protection of environment, pollution prevention, waste minimization, resource management, whatever, as commanded by this knowledge. Also, there should be some regulatory body, regulatory body or control bodies controlling the industry, okay, in terms of environmental protection. So this is something we call, this schematic we call a feedback control system. A feedback control system. Yeah, we can see 20 students, very good. So this is a new knowledge for you mostly, feedback control systems. Yeah, so that's why, so when you are going to deal with environmental control, so system, mechanism. This is the mechanism. You should know the mechanism, what is really happening there. So this is the feedback control mechanism. So I'm going to save this and I'm going to take a copy of this slide. Environmental control or protection of environment, assured. Assured. Okay, assured. But this action of information gathering, compare with the existing knowledge whether this is complied or not, and define the actions for regulation and implementing those on the, or enforcing those on the industries is a must. Okay, so no matter whatever controlling, whether it is environmental management and cleaner production, or even the quality control or whatever, this is the control mechanism. Okay, this is the control mechanism. And this control mechanism is part of the value chain for sure nowadays. Okay, yeah. So feedback control mechanism. Yeah, very interesting. On environmental management. Control. Okay, let's say this is control. On environmental control. Good. I hope you have a photographic memory of this. Okay, I hope you have a photographic memory of this. So, even since the industry aware of this, okay, industry can have some self initiatives. Industry can have some self initiatives for, let's say, I just mentioned as cleaner production, environmental management and cleaner production, EMCP. Okay. Industries can have a self initiative. Can have a self initiative. And so, what the regulators are doing, sometimes enforcing, sometimes even a great control, like there can be sometimes banning of some raw material, banning of some processes. Yeah, there are possibilities, control in terms of banning. So listing the hazardous and all the, anyway, let me call it control. Okay. Later we are going to discuss this. There should be enforcing, there can be control, and also there can be some, how to say, like information, in terms of information sharing. Okay, information sharing. Later we will decide. So, and sometimes influencing, influencing, okay, influencing. So those are the things that the regulators are doing. Regulators are doing, and there can be many. Okay. So the information gathering can be in terms of, okay, information gathering can be in terms of testing, sometimes some observations, some reviews, evaluations, let's say. Testing can be even the laboratory data. Okay. Testing, observations, evaluations, and even information, and can be of anything. Okay. It should be very interesting now. Yes, feedback control system mechanism on environmental control. Later we will discuss some more on this. So you can have a rough idea on this. Environmental management and cleaner production knowledge. CP knowledge. So you are gathering data, information. Data from the industry outputs or outcomes. Okay. And then you compare with the knowledge and do the necessary regulatory actions influencing on the industry. Okay. So environmental control assured, and other than that, you should not forget the consumer or customer. Okay. Customer, consumer or customer. Safety, okay, and health and satisfaction should be assured. Should be assured. Should be assured. So you can see the outcome here. The regulatory outcomes. Okay. The regulatory outcomes. Regulatory outcomes. So that is very important. Regulatory outcomes. So I believe you can have similar schematic and you can identify your, okay, this is industry, can be manufacturing, can be services, anytime. Good. So that is the outcome. And this is the prior knowledge. Okay, this is the prior knowledge. This is the prior knowledge. Good. So you can see the control element here, the industry, and this is the information feedback. We call this feedback. Okay, this is we call feedback. Feedback. So this is feedback control system mechanism. And let me draw one more, a simplified one. Sometimes there can be not this kind. This feedback action may not be there. Okay. This feedback action may not be there. This is not a right one. Okay. And no regulations. Okay, no regulations. But you may have some information. You may have some information. And there can be some internal arrangements. Internal arrangements. There can be some internal arrangements. So I take this out. No more enforcing. So you may have little prior knowledge. So you may have that kind of. So you have some awareness of this information and only the self-initiatives. Okay, only the self-initiatives. So you don't have much here. So this is we call not the feedback, and also no control system mechanisms. Okay, a simple control effect, let's say effect on environmental control. Okay, a simple effect. Yeah, no much of system. Okay, no much of system. And this is very challenging. This is very difficult. Assurance is an issue. Okay, assurance is an issue. That's why assurance is an issue. So you have to ensure that there should be some checks and balances. Okay, so to check this, then compare with the prior knowledge how this should be, but what's the real situation? You compare it and act accordingly. But this kind of approach is not really good. Okay, not really good means not effective enough. Okay, not effective enough at all. Now you can see that's why whether in any organization it is some kind of really regulatory or just a self-initiative with no much of uh, comparisons or any measurabilities. Okay, so this is not a really good one, right? This is not a really good one. But if there are regulations, yeah, and the regulatory bodies are really influencing, it will be in this feedback form, feedback type. You may be doing all even, but this is some voluntarily one. This may not be really, how to say, really a sustainable approach. Okay, so this is an unsustainable approach. Okay, on environmental control, simple control effect. This is not sustainable. Good. Yeah. So let's see in the coming slides how this knowledge of this mechanisms important for your thinking approach. So especially for management and the food process and manufacturing, when it comes to operations, you can see this kind of unseen control systems. It is not necessary to be technical. There should be control system like this in terms of standards, in terms of document controls, in terms of quality controls, in terms of environmental controls, in terms of cleaner production controls. There can be this kind of feedback control system mechanisms in place, but you cannot physically say this. But when you have this prior knowledge, this is very important. So you know how to initiate the control solution, right? Irrespective whether it's quality or environmental management, or sometimes for the disciplines or waste management or the minimization of waste, whatever you know the control strategy. So generally this is the strategy. So this can be complicated, but this is the very basic one. Even in ISO 9001, you may find this. ISO 14001, you may find these control mechanisms. Those are hidden. It is not mentioned, but those are there. So this knowledge is very important. So let me proceed. And before proceeding, you know how important the knowledge here. Okay, cleaner production or environmental management knowledge, how important, and even the knowledge about knowledge of the industries, get how to the knowledge of gathering of information, and knowledge of enforcing. Everything is important. Everything is important. Good. So let me go to the, this one is done. This is not sustainable. Sustainability has issue here. So let's go to the next slide. So this is, yeah, you know, this His Holiness is a world-renowned, considered a wise person, irrespective of any religion, culture, or politics. He's a great Nobel laureate, and this is what, yeah, you can find a lot of quotes from this wise person. Yeah. So this is one of the quotes. So you can see that as people alive today, as people alive today, we must consider future generations. Okay, we must consider future generations. Future generation also must live. Okay. A clean environment is a human right like any other. See how they see this, the noble person. A clean environment is a human right like any other. It is therefore part of our responsibility towards others. Towards others, it's our responsibility towards others to ensure that the world we pass on to the coming generation is as healthy, if not healthier, if it can be more healthy is better, than we found it. Means when we were born, there was environment, the cleanness, the clean environment situation. So now there is some, let's say, of course, we have issues. That's a problem really. But when we pass this environment to the next generations, this world should be, this environment should be more healthier. See, healthier, yeah. So more healthier for others to live. When the environment is healthier for others to live, it's really a healthier environment. Yeah. Even for the environment also there is a health check. See, global warming means the temperature rising and all. The environment will be sick. It affects the plants, the biodiversities, animals, even including humans. Yeah, that's why. So the health check of environment is very, very important. Yeah. So this is what we are not really concerned, that's the issue, but these wise people, they know how important this are. And that's why I mentioned the first picture of this. So they are great people. And this is what UNEP, United Nations Environmental Program says. So this is not about the healthier environment. So they downgrade this. They mention that sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So it means we have to preserve the resources for future generations. That's what this says, to meet their own needs. But here, in this sustainable development, they never mention the key word. Environment is not here. Environment is not here, so something. So this sustainable development in the definitions, yes, there are environment. There is environmental, but why not in the sustainable development, the summarized, the single sentence, why environment is not here? why healthy environment is not here. That's why even you can rephrase this. If you can rephrase this very nicely, even you can share it in the class. That is very important. Yeah. And now we are learning cleaner production as well. So UNEP, United Nations Environmental Program, that is what the environment UNEP means. The cleaner production is a different definition again. You have learned this in the previous session. Cleaner production means a continuous application of an integrated preventive environmental strategy to processes and products, because this is related to production. This is related to industry. So now for cleaner production, definition is limited to the products and the processes. And then to reduce risk to human and environment. Reduce risks. Yeah. Not to say total elimination, but reduce risks to humans and environment, because wherever the production, the wastes are there, the emissions are there. So it's a risk to the environment, it's a risk to the human, but in cleaner production, we are talking about reducing the risk. Yeah, that's why. So this is further narrowing down. Yeah, cleaner production. So this is how the cleaner production means. So this, having this knowledge, you will be in very good shape when we go into the interviews and when you really attending to your jobs in the future. This knowledge is very important. At least the keywords, the sense of the keywords. All three put together. First one is from His Holiness the Dalai Lama. It's about the healthy environment. Then the United Nations environmental programs, because those are developed by the industrialized countries, so they cannot really totally eliminate the environmental health, so they just narrow down sustainable development is the needs of the present without compromising the future generations' needs. Yeah, so it's downsized to the need. But Dalai Lama's one is about the life as people alive today. It's about the life and the healthy environment. Sustainable development is about the needs. So you have to keep the resources for the future generation. That's all. So when it comes to cleaner production, even there can be risks for the human and environment, but you have to minimize the risk, reduce the risk, further narrow down. Anyway, these three levels of scopes, you have to have the knowledge of this. Without sharing this knowledge, this idea may not come to you. That's why I'm sharing this. Okay. Now you have three scopes. One scope is His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the greatest one. The next is about the sustainable development. And the third is about the clean production. But when we look into the sustainable development, there may be some more considerations, but generally, these are the three. So I put all these into one picture here. A clean environment, the healthy environment is the scope what the Dalai Lama mentioned, His Holiness. Then the sustainable development, the environmental program is within that. It's narrowed down. And when it comes to cleaner production, some more narrowed down. Yeah. Of course, cleaner production supports for sustainable development. Sustainable development supports for Dalai Lama's, the clean environment. Yeah. But when you have this relativeness of this, now you can have your own definitions for you as a living human being on this earth planet. Yeah. So that's the message. So we have learned very important things. The sense of the control systems. That is extremely important. The sense of the control systems. So can be applicable in management, technologies, irrespective of food or manufacturing, and even the industrial management, even in education, even in products, services, wherever. This control system, this feedback control system can be applied, and it's being applied naturally there in all the aspects. So today it's a new knowledge for many, maybe, this feedback control system. Yeah. If you need, we can discuss some more examples on this, but let's say example, yeah, I will look into this way. Let's say this is not an industry. Let's say this is a child and the podi lameki, and this is the mother here, mother. So sometimes mother makes the child disciplined when the child misbehaves. This is being observed, and mother knows what's the right behavior should be. You need some control or correction, so mother maybe take some control actions over the child, the disciplinary actions, even in the schools. Yeah. So the taking disciplinary actions, also there are these feedback controls. Yeah. Because this knowledge is there. Once this is violated, of course, the control feedback control system will come into place in almost all the aspects. Even our human body, the biological systems, there are a lot of controls, natural control systems are there. Blood pressure controls, blood sugar controls, the pulse controls, all it's a control system really, control of so many things. Yeah. So you can see, of course, blood pressure is just one observation only, but here in the biological systems, it's a marvelous creation of nature, and we have no chance really to understand these systems created by the nature, but we will try to understand our level best to make use of those. That's all. So back to this. Have a photographic memory of this. Clean environment, sustained by development, clean production. Even you can expect some in the exam questions, maybe, because very important piece of knowledge that will help you and all. Let's see what's in the next slides. This is what we have discussed, but I thought of putting it back again. Let's say this is the cleaner production, like the industry is doing a lot. Let's say your industry. So I'm moving back to the previous slide of control system. Let me take one system here. This one. Okay. Yes. So now we are talking about this self-initiatives for environmental management and cleaner production in the self-initiative. So when it comes to a self-initiative, or sometimes maybe the guided initiatives, sometimes maybe enforced to do that. Okay. So the several steps we have learned last week. Recognize need for clean production. So you're planning. So this is the one. Then your assessment. Yeah. And then the feasibility analysis or the solution identification and see the feasibility of the solution and implementing those. And then you have to really monitor this. Okay, you have to sustain, you have to make the continual improvement of this. Continue, sustain and continue EMS, environmental management systems. Because in the big companies, even not necessary to be big, even for the small ones, whatever we are doing as businesses or enterprises, no matter big or small in scale, or no matter where it's being operated. So you have to have this EMS, environmental management system mindset. This is very important. From a very small business to the complicated ones. Yeah. Cleaner production has to be recognized. Yeah. But for the companies, the planning organizations, assessments, feasibilities, implementation. And see the feedback. So you will have feedbacks and successfully implemented cleaner production process and the projects successful. Yeah. So this is a little approach on this cleaner production method. So cleaner production tools here. So this cleaner production tool, the basis for this tool is, of course, there should be some, how to say, the means of approaches for cleaner production, what we call the tools maybe. Example, to have a knowledge of the importance of the waste minimization. Okay, so waste minimization and also the resource efficient operations. Yeah. So here some of the tools here you can see. Yeah, these are CP tools. So I have mentioned to you 14 or 15. I think we have used this maybe sometimes. The source reduction means let's say if you're operating a machine there, minimize the waste or make it more productive. With less material you can produce the same, something like that. Also recycling, product modification. So these are the approaches involved in cleaner production. Some of the approaches, not everything. So source reduction, you have the good housekeeping. So good housekeeping doesn't mean keep the environmental clean. Not only that, you have no excess material. Also, you have no insufficient material. Also, you have no unwanted materials. Yeah, that's why. So that when it comes to the good housekeeping in industries, it is more than being clean, the ordinary cleanliness like the dust free and all the things. That is not the clean here. We are expecting clean means good housekeeping. Housekeeping means no unnecessary material are there in the stores, on the production floors, even at the machines, at the operating points. Yeah, that is what we call the housekeeping in industries. So housekeeping really saves resources because sometimes if you are keeping too many unnecessary things, finally those will be expired, so no use, and later you will throw those as waste or as scraps. That's right. So the good housekeeping is very important for industry, irrespective of manufacturing, services, whatever. Example, let's take our houses. ගෙවල්වල කොච්චර තියෙනවද වැඩක් නැති දේවල්. So now it becomes a waste. But if you thought carefully of buying this for a purpose, now use it, and after using, you are keeping that again, yeah, for no use. Either you have to reuse it or you have to recycle it. Okay, and keeping it has no value for the society, even has no value for the environment. Yeah. So the good housekeeping, you can define it in a more deeper ways. You can define it in more deeper ways, and good housekeeping can save even billions for the bigger industries, even billions, not millions. And that's why that is very important, good housekeeping. Yeah, and the process changes. Yeah, so the raw material, the source reduction, the energy, raw material, and all of the process changes. And recycling, yeah, very important. Yeah. Also, you can have the reuse and recovery on site using the same industry premises itself. Or from whatever the waste, you can create maybe some useful byproducts. Also, another product modifications on there. Process change in the sense, yeah, you can work out with raw materials, process controls, equipment modification in the process, the process related equipments needed to carry out the process, and also technologies. So you can see that in considering all, you are contributing minimizing the waste, minimizing the raw material consumption, you can minimize the energy consumption, and even the product modification, you can optimize the product life cycles and all. Okay, so that is very important. Yeah. So tools for cleaner production. So these are the regulatory. See the some regulations, the waste reduction audits. Yeah, even the you can see a lot here. Okay, tools of cleaner production. So there can be many like the previous. Good housekeeping, waste reduction audit, uh, environmental compliance audit. Yeah. So those are like gathering the information, compare with the prior knowledge. Yeah. Let me put this one. Give me a second. You can remember this. Here. So this is the control system here. So audits, you have to gather the informations. You have the prior knowledge. You have to compare it, and you can come for some judgments. Based on judgments, you can act accordingly to control. That is the reason of carrying out audits. Waste reduction audits, you can gather the information. You have the prior knowledge on waste reductions on that particular industry to compare it, yeah, as a regulator, as an evaluator, you can make judgments. Yeah, that's all. Environmental performance, we call it assessment. Again, information gathering. Same, you have the prior knowledge. You review it, identify the situation, and you can make necessary recommendations. And finally, based on those, industry act accordingly and assured what the environmental control and the environmental health, customer health and safety, and the customer satisfaction. So see what you see everything. Audit. You have to compare, gather the information. This feedback. See feedback. We call that's why we call feedback. So you gather the information, bring it here and compare. Audit. Again audit. So you gather the information, feedback, compare. Analysis. Again, you gather the information, you have the knowledge, you have to compare. Or you have to put all the data into something like for review. Assessment. Again, relevant to this feedback control system. Impact assessment. Again, to this. Chemical assessment. Again, a kind of feedback control exercise. Risk audit. Again, audit comes here. Industrial ecology. So ecology is enrichment of the knowledge. Yeah, so your knowledge is improved. Again, when it comes to the situation, you compare it, you act accordingly. See how nice the knowledge of this feedback control system. This really justifies. This justifies. This audits and assessments and evaluations and everything. Okay. Design for environment. It's about the knowledge. When you have the knowledge here, of course, you have the feedback, information, and all. Compare it, you can improve. So you can see all that. Supply chain management. Management again, you have this control aspect. So now you feel and you can justify it. And actually, you should be happier that you should have that kind of basic feedback control mechanism knowledge. With that, you can justify. So, what would be the tools for cleaner production? Oh, sorry. You simply know that, oh, cleaner production. Then we have to look into this feedback control system. Then those tools should be as audits, assessments, evaluations, and even inputting new knowledge like ecology, yeah, but green procurement, supply chain, green supply chain management. All. You feel how important today knowledge. Yeah, by now you should feel that. So this is no more a piecewise knowledge for you. This is a knowledge with a purpose. Okay? You know now what are the tools. Tools are for what? Yeah. To apply on this feedback control systems to assure this environmental compliance. Okay, that's all. Yeah, very good. So you have learned something very, very solid, and I believe for many this will be a new knowledge. It's very nice. You can link everything. Okay, good. So methods for cleaner production. So let me copy the same here. You see what this method are. Methods and tools for cleaner production. We will see. We'll openly discuss this. This slide. It's 243. See, I just put the feedback control here. Feedback. So regulatory. See, regulator here. Regulatory instruments. So there should be regulatory. Okay. Economics. Okay. Promote through economic incentives, so financial penalties rather than simply through action. So again, it's here. Yeah, let me, yeah, I have to put into this uh, regulatory. Let's see. See, methods for production, methods and tools. It will make the topic. Yes, this is the regulator, enforcing, control, influencing, information sharing. Now say economic tools. Yeah. Promoted through economic incentives or financial penalties than simply through action enforced by the government. So the incentives, financial penalties. So how? You are influencing. So there are economic influencing tools. Information and soft approach. Yeah, instrument means tool. Yeah. Information means tool. Yeah. So instrument means tool. Regulatory tools. Okay. Economic tools. You're influencing somehow. Your influence links to profits. Influence links to finance. Then they are really following because profit and better finance is the bottom line of industries. So if somehow the industry economic status or economic advantage is challenged because of some environmental issues, they surely will improve the environmental conditions. They will rectify it because they cannot get penalized by means of maybe financial penalties, financial losses. That's right. Economic. This is the influence with the profit. Regulatory instruments. Yeah. So you have the standards, and they have to comply the standards, the regulations. If not, they are penalized. So the regulations, economic influences, and in terms of information, let's say example as information, the best is, I will share with you one of the examples. In the cigarette packets, the cigarette packet you have seen some pictures there on the cigarette packs. Yeah. So it says the cancer photos and some lung issues and all. So the information is there on the packet itself so that their purchasing is discouraged. Okay? So cigarette industry is a very good one to see, not to say a good one, but to see some examples. How the regulatory things are working in all the aspects. So the information there itself, even it mentioned that smoking kills. Yeah, information there itself on the product. Economic instruments, economic tools there to discourage. I think one cigarette cost maybe two cigarettes, maybe cost more than a lunch packet. One or two cigarette, I don't know. Yeah. So it tells that. Yeah. So you have to pay a huge price for this. Yeah. You have to pay a huge price for this, even for the customers. And even the tobacco companies, they are being taxed. They are being taxed. Yeah. Heavily taxed. Yeah. So the tax goes to the government as an income somehow. Even the liquor industry is also the same. And regulatory, of course, yes, even below 18 years old people cannot buy cigarettes. Yeah. And even for the liquor, maybe one person, of course, above 18, allow only 2 bottles. So, regulatory instruments. And also economic instruments, they are even on the liquor. They imposed heavy tax. Yeah. Even the information is there. Yeah. Information is there. The health risks and all. Even the contents, all the things. Even when it comes to the, of course, that is on the consumer end. I mentioned about this health risk products. That's the consumer end. So in the manufacturing also there should be a lot. There are regulatory and economic instruments. Yeah. So, so there are actually these economic instruments, economic tools. Example, let's say this is one example I'm sharing with you. This is not related to cleaner production, but if you think of in Singapore, I think over 10, 20 years, power cuts, electricity power failures, maybe only 1 or 2 instances maximum. The reason is if any power interruption is there in Singapore, the power producers, the power companies have to pay a huge fine for that power interruption. So they assure that there should be no power interruptions because it's a cost for that power company. See, yeah. Economic instruments people are using. Even yeah, there can be a lot of such. Yeah. So economic tools people are using, the governments are using for the assurance to ensure and also to regulate. Yeah. So these are in terms of information, in terms of economics, in terms of regulatory. So and all linked to your feedback control system, and the regulator is there, linked with industry or whatever. Yeah. So okay. Yeah. So that's about it. And then regulate environments, policy making. Yeah. Sometimes the product bans, the trade restrictions, the raw material they are controlling, even the sand mining and all. There will be future the raw material quota controls, and also there can be some uh, how to say liability assignments in the sense.
Father,
Liability assignments in the sense. Liability assignments in the sense. sometimes you have to pay heavy prices when you have the dealing with such resources, maybe. Yeah. So in the pollution activities, all there should be huge liabilities, especially maybe something like even the cement industry, like industries. There are a lot of environmental issues. If there are, of course, there may be some heavy fines and also taxes. The reason for those taxes are government should use those taxes, the taxed income, to invest on the environment, invest for the health of environment. That's the purpose of taking fines to one with the taxes and all. That's how the regulatory based instruments or the tools later we will discuss some more. Right? And so economic based, yeah. So emission fees, then for the even for the road taxes. There are some parts for the engine capacities are all, so those are some fines for the fees based on the emissions. Yeah. Sometimes the grant subsidies, example, the less tax for some eco-friendly solutions. Yeah. So there can be the economic based incentives and the solutions. Yeah. Informations. Yeah. Informations can be a tool. Yeah. So the education campaigns, can you remember last time about this chemicals used as fertilizer, chemical fertilizers, the information, smoking, the health risk and all the some information campaigns were ongoing. I don't know now how it is even about the asbestos. The information campaigns were ongoing about the industries and all, but somehow no government was succeeded on the campaigns, but we can see like alternative solutions, example like eye panels, the civilian, so all the alternative products came up because of the asbestos campaign. Yeah. So that's all for this, because I need to open up another slide for you. So I will stop this one. Anyway, I will share this with you. So let me open. This wait for a while. For the informations, even the something like the eco-labeling, the star ratings, and all the things, those are related to uh, informations. Informations. Later we will talk more. So I need to open up something more interesting. I need to open up something interesting. Clean production implementations. Clean production implementations in industries. So let me draw that. feedback system here. The previous one was about ClnrProdn, something like that. How to enforce or how to promote the ClnrProdn. But now when it comes to the implementation, let's say how this works here, ClnrProdn implementation. I'm not going to discuss much about the policies, but you can see when you think of this feedback control system. Yeah. So let's say change in traditional focus of environmental management system management. So now the traditional focus of environmental management is no more applicable because of the complexity. So, okay, so that is generally so that that's how it is nowadays. And the second one, increased role of municipal and local programs. See the regulator here. This regulator, see, regulatory bodies, they are coming with more knowledge and also the knowledge aspects and the regulation aspects. Regulatory aspects are now being increasing. So municipalities, the local programs coming. Then the ISO 14001 environmental management systems, the regulations are coming, so some knowledge and the regulations coming. Then the audits means gathering informations, yeah, and encouraging and access to funding. See? So somehow the feedback control system is in action, okay, in all these policy tendencies. Voluntarily initiative. See the self-initiatives I mentioned. That is for the industry. So financing framework, somehow the financing for the cleaner production. So those are incentives somehow as promoting the cleaner production and new areas of work, all related to this. So this is very interesting. This model. This model is really interesting. The other picture is this. See? Very nice. This is the regulator. So now you can see what element is being triggered, promoted, enriched, energized by these tendencies. Somehow you can see some of the elements, maybe industry itself, sometimes maybe the information gathering, the feedback element. This is the feedback element, okay? Feedback element, let me check the feedback element separately. The feedback element. This is the feedback element, okay? Regulator, feedback element, and the knowledge, this one. Okay, let me take the knowledge piece as well. This is the knowledge. This is the piece of knowledge. And another one is the control. See, control. So these are control is this. So you have to think of this. The four elements you can see, because the assurance of environmental protection is the output, that's the bottom line. For that, the knowledge is working, The knowledge is working. The control, the comparison is working as audits and assessments. The regulators are working, the regulatory element, and the feedback elements are working. So how many elements? Knowledge, comparison, feedback, control. Okay. And yeah, here you can see four elements. You connect this very nicely. If I want to show this as a separate one, let's see, duplicate this. Knowledge element is here. Then the knowledge element. Then your information gathering element is here. Comparison element is here. Regulatory element is here. So this leads to regulations, and even the industry itself is the other element. If you take it, the industry itself, let's say, industry itself is here. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, five elements. So somehow these five elements are triggered. Okay, separately or combinedly, this. So these five are triggered. That's how. These five are triggered. These five. A little small. Very big. Industry. Don't we know that? Yeah. So five elements: knowledge, feedback. Information gathering means this is the feedback, and the comparison, review, analysis here. Also the regulatory element here, the regulator, and the industry itself. So based on these five, when you consider these five, all these new tendencies, they all talk about these five elements. Yeah. Change in traditional focus, because traditional focus no such five elements. Now, five element approach. Yeah. So new regulatory bodies coming into place, not just coming, but coming with some knowledge and challenges. Okay. Even they do the information gatherings as well, and they also have separate control, this kind of feedback mechanisms. That's why. So ISO and EMS with cleaner production, dealing with five elements. Audits, comparison is there with the knowledge and information. Voluntary initiatives, there are means of promoting cleaner production. Financing comes, yeah, new areas of work. Now you should feel some good practical sense of these policies and tendencies topic. Okay? Without this understanding of this feedback control system, this 7 points may be just a piece of memory for you, but now you have a little sense. Yeah, we need this kind of things like that. So these are the five elements. So here I put this slide because you are familiar with this. Three circles: the economy, environmental, and social. So the developing industries or enterprises with sustainable development. Because this is the same slide. You can see the economy, same like here, economic friendly. Environment, same like environment friendly in the previous slide. And the social is here, that is same as the social friendly. So when it comes to industries, so sustainable development means you have to think all the three. So this is the sustainable development concept for industrial development. Yeah. Economy. So you can think more than what's mentioned there. So, development of industries which capable of continuously producing goods as demanded by market. So you are supplying, you are making profits. Social development of industries which deliver social contributions such as creating job vacancies or opportunities, better educations, health and security, that is social aspect, environmental aspect, industries which capable of maintaining ecosystem balance, okay, sustainable use of natural resources and prevent natural resources exploitation as well as carry out environmental preservation functions. Yeah. Example, if you have a lot of CO2 emissions, at least you should plant some trees to compensate, not to some, but you have to plant trees to compensate that CO2 emissions. That's all. So you have to think of how to improve the sustainability. So industrial development. So this is the approach for the sustainability and also for the cleaner production and also for the environment management. A kind of master slide this one is can be considered. Yeah. Yeah. And we mentioned that in this very first slide, changing traditional focus of environmental management. So what's the change in traditional focus means? Earlier we mainly focus on the process efficiencies, productivity, but we never thought of the product. Now they focus on the product definition and they can work backward towards greener processes. So strategically you can work on products. So that product not only out from the factory, but the responsibility you can extend even to the consumers. Yeah. Okay. Or to the after sales and even to the reuse, recovery and recycling. Yeah, you can extend the scope up to that. That's why the product scope is very important, the focus. Of course, the process is also important, but product is strategically important to improve the processes as well. And this is very interesting and even new to me, this shift from environmental media. Environmental media means air, water and land. Okay, so here no much of standard, but to industry specific standards means you are, instead of thinking of this, you have to follow the standard so that environmental media is naturally protected. That's why. So it is more measurable. Yeah. Also, IIPC means the International Plant Protection means the, this is very important slide. Let me make it a little bigger. plant protection. Means some industrial processes are risk to the biodiversity. So there are plant protection conventions. Yeah. So no industry can damage the ecosystems, the plants, biodiversities. So all the industries must comply somehow through the governments and the regulatory bodies for this. So naturally, that's why the focus is change. Environmental management focus is change. It's more focus now and also more objective oriented. And the third one there, you can see not the third one, the last line here, you can see in the production process, such a supply chain means, of course, from the raw material comes up the processes and finally the final products. That is, we call the upward movements. Our upward movements of the production process and the supply chain management is there. So they are really think of the environmental management and cleaner production aspects in relation to the supply chain. In relation to the supply chain. Supply chain is very important in cleaner production. And of course, that is part of the subject. So later we can discuss some more further. Anyway, I have to stop this in 13 minutes time. So let me think of sharing this. Anyway, the industry concept from supply, raw materials, energy, and the equipments, whatever, then comes to the production process, then the product and the waste emissions and the packaging, of course, and the product and packaging. Leftovers, waste are there as well. So in this approach, so each and every stage, okay, must assure the eco-friendliness. So I will revisit this in next week, but let me move forward. So he also related to that 5 elements. I will come to that because I have to share with you this slide before winding up today's session. Product life cycles, anyway, you have to design the product. Then you have to, there are some improvements even for the processes and the production is here. Consumers are here and the reduce, reuse, recycling, that is in the blue color. So this four functions are taken place and finally the product life cycle now can be considered as starting from the design to recycling. Okay, to recycling. So later I will discuss some more on this one. Okay. So you can see the design here, the product design and the process designs. Because product design is to manufacture, so you have to outline the manufacturing design. There comes the raw material and the material processing and make the components and products. Finally, it goes to consumers for use. Okay. And after that, end of the life, you can reuse it or you can use for remanufacturing. Yeah? Also recycling. Also you can use for the other purposes as well. Okay, recycling. And after that, even here the waste, other waste products also can be included as the reusage of this or upgrade of this. Okay, so that's how these cycles are being identified in product life cycles. So overall, all the steps has to assure some eco-friendliness, some green concepts. Yeah. So that is what we call the product life cycle. Let me share this next week in a better way. The policies and all. Policies means the regulatory limits. Yeah. Initiatives of the companies, industries itself, the self-initiatives, supply chains. So let me discuss this later in the next week. So I'm going to stop now because the battery is running out. So let me stop the class today. Remember that feedback control system, that is very important. So let me do the next session with harnessing this information. Okay. Till then we will stop the class. Good luck to you all. Okay. See you next week. Bye then. So I'm going to stop the class. Okay. Good.